Hello, and welcome back to that Eurovision site, Eurovision with a slice of life. I'm Angus, still on the he, him pronoun grind, and today I'm joined by,
A fellow he-himmer. It's Ewan.
and the he, him squad is in session to discuss the one and only national final that is Wielkie Finał Polskich Kwalifikacji, aka the Polish national final for Eurovision. Ewan's favorite.
It well,
Great.
I it is one of my favorites. It's disgusting to say that as I am a Poland stan,
Yeah, you
and I'm
just
not even
are.
Polish. I'm one of the very rare people in the fandom that's not a Polish person who is a Poland stan.
Um, we have 10 songs. They were released in a slightly strange staggered format with no particular rhyme or reason that I managed to figure out, but at least we got them. We got them well in advance, so we could really listen to them, enjoy them. And is there much of interest to say about the format? There are jury members. There will be a televote. The winner will be exclusive. Winner is exclusively decided by televote, however. We have the running order, or at least the opening and closing song. Rust will be opening with Tempo on the 14th of February, and Dominic Dudek will be closing off the Polish national final with Hold the Light. What are your initial thoughts, just in general, about the Polish national final this year?
Well, first, I was a bit disappointed that it's no longer called To be a Setsu Roku Vihimami na Eurovisio because, like, if you're gonna have a ridiculous national final, at least give it a ridiculous name. Like, you are the beating heart of Europe. I mean, come on. Iconic, ridiculous. I thought the way that they announced the songs was a bit weird because Poland, unlike a lot of other countries, will just let songs that have been just like randomly released 3 months prior just be in the selection. So this year we had some of the songs that have been out for like 2 months prior, and then yeah, they're in. Also, the fact that we had Gaia by Justina announced, and then a few days later, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the revamp. Like, surely you'd have the revamp ready to go on the announcement day. Iconic, chaotic, ridiculous. Yeah, I think this is compared to a lot of other years because their last national final, it was terrible. It was Kai camp, as you would probably say, but it was terrible. This year, this seems to have like racked up a lot better. A nice, good mix of genres, but also there's a lot of quality. There's nothing that's really truly why the hell is this here? Why do I have to listen to this song? Which is a strong positive for Poland. Usually this that's it's horrific. So yeah, that's my overall just rough thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, just to start off on the song quality, even the song that I really dislike would fit into most national finals. It's not a song that's going to Eurovision by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something you could hear at any national final and not be surprised by. At all of these songs, none of them are particular. Oh, this song I need to have in Eurovision, a massive standout. But they do have enough. It does feel like a Polish national final, also in particular. It is a nice varied selection of genres and artists. And it's all broadly accessible, but it does have almost all these songs have a bit of a Polish flavor to them in one way or another, I would say. Like it does have that, yeah, it's hard to quantify. Um, but overall, this is a pretty strong lineup. Who knows what the national final itself will look like? And I think a lot of these songs will sink or swim based on the staging. We can say approximately less than zero about any of that as of now.
Just
Um,
following on from your point about how they've got a very Polish Polishness to them. Like eight of the songs are written by at least partly by Poles. There's only two that are like not that are like Scandi imports. So the fact that they're actually like promoting actual Polish writers this time is amazing to see because yeah, it makes a big difference on the overall sound of the show.
Absolutely.
Although I am
As
sad
we're
that the Rennie Miller song isn't in because Rennie Miller is amazing and should have represented Germany.
and that's saying quite something because that song was to be performed by Sarah James. to
I am not a fan of Sarah James or anyone involved in Junior Eurovision, so that really it says a lot.
It does. But yeah, if we're yapping about the song so much already, why not? Who are your standouts, positively or negatively?
See, there's no one that really stands out negatively and think like I said, like why the hell is this here? Like, there's nothing that's truly horrific. There's a couple that I don't particularly like. Janusz is in Cosmic Mist. It's there. Kuba is there. Malien and Daria are just like there. But three that really stand out for me, it's got to be Dominic Dudek. Like, Hold the Light, banger. Written by Taya, which is unexpected. Would not have. She seems to be like fingers and lots of pies in different national finals now since her participation. So it's good to see her because she is a good songwriter. It's working really well with Dominic. Although this is my favorite, I don't necessarily want this to win from a strategic point because it's a nice man ballad. And now this is recorded on the 2nd of February. And we now also have in that semi final, we've got Slovenia, who is a nice man ballad. And I think Claude is possibly going for a ballad as well.
His style was a bit like that
So
chansonny balladier. So yeah,
I feel like if Poland go, you've then got three probably quite strong man ballads in a televote only semi final. I don't think it's necessarily going to have the best outcome. So that although it's my favorite, I'm kind of wanting my other two, which are Justina's Gaia. Um, how do you say this in like a truly like professional way? Mother,
uh,
Mother Gaia. Yeah, she's back again. She should have had the Witcher song in, but that's a different video entirely.
I mean,
It's
this is still absolute peak Zero's video game music, the
oh yeah,
remix.
but in
The
an
entire
amazing
album
way.
is, by the way.
Oh yeah,
If you
but
like
it's
this song, you
amazing.
need to listen to the entire album.
Um, it's it's like trashy made just for club music that's not going to chart, and I mean that in the most positive and nicest way possible. Like, because we don't get enough of this sort of style of music in Eurovision, where it's just like so earthy and like the beat with it. Um, she can barely sing those little bits in English that they've added to it in the revamp, which is just adding something a little bit more to it. Yeah, amazing. And then the third one I want to highlight is Lusterka. It's a folktronica banger. Everything I want in Eurovision is a folktronica banger. Um, so yeah, having something like that, and I don't necessarily think that either of those two songs would be competing necessarily against other songs that have been selected so far. Closest would maybe be Lusterka with Zierm, but even then, I think they stand apart enough that they wouldn't really be competing against each other compared to like say Dominic Dudek with the other male ballads. What about you? What are your standouts?
Um, So you already mentioned two of my standouts. My personal favorite is Lusterka. You're right in saying I would say Zierm is more in that sort of indie-tronica direction of
Mhm.
sound, or even like the early Björks of like that kind of the more 90s and early years. Whereas Lusterka is much more current banger, and it doesn't make any of the song more or less competitive if they face each other or not. Justina's Gaia is it's a banger. Yeah, I already listened to I know the album version better than this revamped one, but it's still good. At my third place is Tempo by Rust, which is not the song I would want to see go to Eurovision, but I don't think it would be doing terribly. Dominic Dudek, I do quite like. This song doesn't quite click for me. And as you say, I do think he's not the best vocalist in the world. He's good, but he's not great. And if you then go up
Mhm.
against someone who's known for his voice, like Claude, it's just difficult in a telephone only kind of thing.
And I do worry because, like, yeah, he's not the best vocalist, but his voice really did work for Be Good and those sort of like happy, slower songs. But this is like, there's some vocal moments in Hold the Light. So, like, I don't, yeah, I,
To be fair, I don't think he'll. I say this with love, and this is looking forward a bit towards the next question already, but he will be competing in this national final already for a televote only against Miracle by Tinsky, who I no clue how that person sings live, but could have more of a moment regardless of the fact that that song absolutely does not work for me. I'll be very frank about that, but I can see that sort of being the Michał Szpak color of my life kind of vote getter
Hmm.
almost.
It'll be interesting to see how they do the running order because, like as you said this earlier, the first and the last place are decided, and Dominic Duda is ending the show, so he's sort of in like the best opportunity for him. So if Tinsky does get not a phenomenal running order, you will definitely tank Dominic.
Yes.
Mm. Just one thing I did want to say actually, though, with Lusterka, it would be amazing to have them just so we could have another brand new language in Eurovision.
Yes, we always love more languages in Eurovision, and for those who are not in the know, it's in Potlachian, which is an East Slavic. I believe it's considered a micro language officially, but it's a East Slavic dialect spoken in a small part of Eastern Poland. If
It's
I'm not,
it's it's described as being like very close to like Polish. Sorry, very close to Belarusian rather than like Polish, even though it's in Poland for the language fans. Because we always love a micro language, even if the song is terrible.
just more languages in Eurovision,
Mhm.
more languages.
Speaking of language, though, shocking, shocking use of language in this national final because we've got Polakian and then Gaia is predominantly in Polish. We've got tempo in Polish, um, and then it's just a swathe of English.
They are trying to sort of market themselves internationally, but I will say even artists that make music specifically for Poland in Poland do sometimes just release a lot in English.
It's still
Uh
disgusting.
yeah, but I mean my girlie, my mother should just be automatically picked for Eurovision Brodka has an entire amazing album in English. And that was, I mean, she was hoping to have a bit of breakout success with that, but that was also still clearly meant for the Polish market, first and foremost. So I
Hmm.
think that's just also the Polish music industry at the moment is more English language focused in parts, at least.
I think that Poland, like TVP, need to work on how because Poland in Eurovision is not good. Like I say this as a Poland stan, they're terrible in Eurovision because they don't carve a path. They're far too middle of the road. They need to like insist upon themselves more in the contest. So just going for lots of like middle of the road English. Eh? Like yeah, they've I had a winner for one of my favorites for one of the years was Poland, and it was in English, but they at least made something of it. So that's why I think going for something like Gaia or like Lusterka, just really saying, "Hey, we're Poland in Eurovision. This is our music scene. Yeah, let's just pretend the English doesn't exist." Because let's face it, we should just pretend that English doesn't exist as a language.
True. I think also in general that it would help Poland slowly build toward a brand. Now, I always say this, but it's good for a country in Eurovision to sort of have a brand that they can. You can always deviate from it, but it's good to just help pick something because then you can sort of train your selection committee to pick the best songs within that kind of area. If you have a national final, you can still do that while also celebrating genre diversity. But picking a Gaia or Lusterka, especially Lusterka, would sort of build on what Poland sent in 2019 with Fire of Love and We Are Slavic in 2014. That like these specifically Slavic like influences, but with electronica in there and a bit of a mishmash of multiple things.
And
If you want to
of
go,
course, the second one you mentioned is an iconic Eurovision performance that people who are not fans of the contest still reference today. Yes, they're possibly referencing it for some other reasons, but the song also
e-
features in why they're
everyone
referencing it.
knows the butter churning
Hmm.
song. And like with Gaia, like, but they can go multiple directions. We don't really have a follow up to this, but if you wanted just some trashy pop in the self-deride and solo, Poland could easily take that little block of Eurovision voters to varying degrees of success, but they could easily do that. And but at the moment, just Poland lacks a bit of or I mentioned early Color of Your Life, add in like a river and those kind of like just mid fairly by numbers but very well sung ballads. Also a way that Poland could go. But at the moment, Poland just feels a little bit directionless still. But I think if this national final works out, TVP might be onto something.
I think they should have definitely kept a national final last year, mostly because the song that they picked was terrible and the result was horrific. But just to keep the consistency of having it instead of switching about all the time, because they do need some more consistency.
Yeah, in general, consistency would be a good place to start for Poland and a broadcaster. Um, so we've spoken about our favorites and stuff like that, but who do you think is the likeliest act to go to Eurovision? Gut feeling right now.
I think it's a two-horse race between Justina and Kuba. I think it's quite difficult to say because it would be much easier to guess what the Polish jury would go for because they're very consistent, but the Polish televotes usually are a little bit all over the place. But those are the two that I would probably say.
Yeah, Justina is also for me. I think Daria could surprise. Um, that is the Scandi import song.
Yeah, because I
Basically, but
feel
that
like
does
it's
mean it sort of
either
has its own lane going in the whole selection.
because Cuba's also an import, so I feel like it's either going to be Daria or Cuba that comes out really well in this because they're probably going to have a team around them. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want either of them to go though.
Um, so yeah, the one big question that remains is how do we think Poland will do in Eurovision this year?
Narrow qualification comes 20th.
Yeah, like eighth place in the semi-final, and then depending on what song they pick and running order and other shenanigans, anywhere between 12th and 24th in the final itself.
Unless
But
Mother
definitely like
Gaia comes in and just wins the whole thing.
she is Justina is the one person I would trust the most with having a good staging plan because the entire album was already very visual.
Mhm.
She's just an experienced artist in general, so she does have some idea of just like stage presence
Yeah.
and presenting herself.
I mean, not to
And
talk about last year though, but just can you think how great the staging in Malmo would have been with Witcher? That stage, her presence on there would have been possibly top five.
it definitely would have been one of the biggest moments of the night.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how it would have turned out. It's impossible to say, but yeah, it would have been one of the biggest and most memorable performances in 2024.
Unless TVP decide to throw some horses at it.
Look, that is also the question with how much input does the artist get and how much not. But I do think Justina is the kind of artist who can command and be like, this is what I want and this is how it should be presented. Which also for better and for worse is true for different reasons. But I said the team around him for Daria and Cuba.
Mm.
I imagine there's like a bigger team around it. The rest I feel would it's harder to say. Obviously, I'm not too overly familiar with a lot of these artists. They're not the biggest names in general. That means it's really good to see them, and I do hope that this but keep all these songs could appear at Eurovision without anybody being surprised, while at the same time it is a showcase of largely but not only up and coming artists in Poland, and that I do really appreciate just as a national final concept.
Yeah.
Do you have
This is what
anything?
this is why this election needs to stay
Absolutely.
rather than a random 600 person long list.
They should do a 600-person long list and then just do instant transferable vote card online where you have to rank all 600 songs
Well, I
and
mean,
then
it would
just
be
the top
amazing
10
though,
go through.
because that means everything would be like ready to go, and we'd actually like have the full list. So that means we could horrify you every week by sending you the release of 600 different Polish artists. Because for those of you who don't know, our our lovely Angus does the monthly music roundup. So we sent him all of the music and all of the random things that have been breathed in your national final. So having 600 songs there, oh, that would be perfect to ruin Angus with.
There would be consequences. I would listen to basically all the Polish music released after that point ever. I think uh, it would be something. Well, at least I would learn Polish probably just by osmosis at that rate. Um, but is there anything you want to add or say to
Uh,
TVP if they're watching?
TVP, I love you. Just please let the staging actually be good this year, regardless of what happens. Also, bring back Booty 2.0.
Yeah,
How did we
just
go
give
through a whole video on a Polish national election and not talk about Booty?
it's always there. It doesn't necessarily need mentioning. It's just always there. Just, for the Polish national final 2026, give Elena a free spot in the final. Just let her do whatever she wants. Whether it's a Booty 2.0 or whatever. Who knows? Who knows what might get cooked up? Um, yeah, TP, just keep going at it. I do think you're onto something with this national final. A pure televote always worries me a bit, but I do appreciate that you're not letting the jury double dip by both selecting the songs and then voting on them. 10 songs is a good amount. One night is just a good amount of time to do all this in. I hope you pull this off and becomes an amazing show, and I really hope that you do well in Eurovision because at least the songs I really like and that Ewan really likes, we largely agree upon that, and they all deserve
If you can get that happening, you can do work miracles.
and they do deserve the Eurovision spotlight. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, as long as what you're doing is this and not whatever you did last year. And on that note, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching this as a video, leave a like, comment about your favorites, least favorites. What do you hope the staging looks like? Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you are the first to watch our post Polish national final discussion video. And we also have a much more content like reaction videos, other discussions, interviews with national final artists, and so much more coming up on YouTube. Um, this will also go out as a podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you tune in to those babbling things. It's also on our website, and on the podcast you also find a lot more. And also in the off season, there will be a lot of discussions and look backs at previous years and countries that have competed in the past in Eurovision. You can follow the website at that Eurosite anywhere you get your social media. You can follow the podcast at the Euro Podcast also anywhere you get your social media. If you want to just follow the news along, go to our website, thateurovisionsite.com, and we have all the headlines there ready for you to read through as you want. I've been Angus, joined by Ewan. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.